We are starting the second section now of the third canto of the book of Yoga. We have seen Savitri meeting all the subconscious forces, subconscious beings, vital beings, and she has seen the entire order of the whole subconscious place. She met the giant head of life with all the furious elements which are present in the vital world. Now, in fact, there is always a danger that once you get lost, you get trapped in what he calls the dangerous intermediate zone. There is no way of coming out of it. The dangerous intermediate zone, or what he calls is the valley of wandering gleam. The wandering gleam, you get lost completely here. There is no way out at all. And there is no one who can really help you there. Absolutely impossible. So you, so to say, get totally lost in that process. But if there is something in you, in us, which can remember the truth which is within us, then it can come forward and give a kind of a protection, can guide you how to move forward. In the earlier case, we have seen that Savitri remembered the Savior name, and it was the Savior name which protected her. And the moment she remembered the Savior name, there was peace, enormous peace all around. Everything had become quiet. When she is meeting now the giant head of life, much stronger, more forceful, more violent, more insurgent than the ordinary subconscious life, then it is still more difficult. But Savitri was carrying within her the image of the truth, as he says, the image, murti of truth, of Satya. It was there, and it is that image which helped her, guided her, and the moment she realized that now all was still, the soil shone dry and pure. Through it all she moved not, plunged not in vain waves. Out of the vastness of the silent self, life's clamor fled. Her spirit was mute and free. So that is the siddhi she got. In spite of the violent opposition of the giant head of life, Savitri is able to master that condition, and she has become now silent and free, mute and free. With that freedom, she can now move forward. It is that freedom which can make her now go forward. And therefore, her next step of journey begins. As I told you, there are almost a dozen steps in the inner countries Savitri is going through. Now she is going to meet life who is organized, who is in an ordered space, as he calls it, brilliant ordered space. Savitri is going to meet life now which is organized. Some kind of an element of mind in life is coming into picture, and it is that which is going to restrain the violent force of life, which is always there. Therefore, then journeying forward to the self's wide hush, Because she is now free, she is journeying forward to the self's wide hush, not life anymore, but self alone, wide hush. Now, this tells us, journeying tells us that it must have been a fairly long journey for her to go from region to region in the inner countries. It is not that quickly she is going through. We are doing the entire canto maybe in 20 minutes, but she is really going through the entire process as a long drawn process of life and sadhana and tapasya. And therefore she is journeying. Of course, that journey in the occult world is a long journey. It takes hours, it takes months, it takes years. It goes on like that. It's a journey, long journey, you see. So we had no idea how long it might have taken for Savitri to come to this point of self's wide hush. Wide hush. She came into a brilliant, ordered space. That is again now of Savitri's new entry into the inner country. There, life dwelt parked in an armed tranquility. So the insurgent spirit, the violent, the revolting spirit of life which was there, it has become calm, quiet. Life is now very docile, as if the beast, the wild beast, has been domesticated and is now under control. Therefore, armed tranquility. A chain was her strong insurgent heart. Somebody has kind of put a chain, leash. She is now held back in her position like that, you see. Chain was on her strong insurgent, the revolting heart, insurgent heart, tamed to the modesty, tamed to the modesty of a measured space. So you calculate, you take deliberate step after step like that, going in a specific order. Tamed to the modesty of a measured space. She kept no more her vehement stride and rush. That is what life was. Life, as I told you last time, I mean, she doesn't bother about the consequences. Whatever that life force wants to do, that it will do. She will do always, you see. There is no control with the light force. Even mind cannot really control. In fact, finally, mind cannot really decide anything in this world. It is the life force which tells you do this or do that. It is the life force which makes mind reason out why he should do this or he should do that. You see, it is prompted by the life force and then mind reasons out why a particular step should be taken, you see. That is why it is modesty. She kept no more her vehement stride and rush. She had lost the careless majesty of her muse. Whatever she thought, whatever she imagined, she could do, but now that thing is gone. She is parked, she is chained, she is held back, you see. And the ample grandeur of regal force. Yes, she is a queen, but now that queen is under control, you see. Curved were her mighty palms, her splendid waist. So she would do whatever she wants. She wouldn't bother about the consequences, as I told you. She wouldn't bother about the expenditure. Money, keep on pouring. You see, I want this, I want that, I want that, I want that. Well, it's there always, you see. Curved were her mighty palms, her splendid waist, sobered the revels of her bacchant play. Well, happy, joyous, as if drunk with wine, she could do whatever she wanted to do, see, back and play. Cut down were her squanderings in desire's bazaar. So you go to the supermarket or message store and buy whatever you wanted, but no, now she cannot. There is something which is restraining her. You cannot keep on doing like that all the while, you see. This jewelry, very precious, let me have it. This gown, let me have it. No, no, no. Something is now holding her back, you see. Coerced her despot will, her fancies dance. A cold stolidity bound the right of sense, stolidity which is emotionless, which is impassive, which is quiet. It is that impassiveness, stolidity, her right sense, whatever she wants to do, that fancy, that is gone. Now some kind of control over the emotions have come and she has become impassive in that sense. A coast authority bound the right of sense. Her spirit's bounds they cast in rigid lines. Yes, she has to follow now a given line of approach, rigid line. She must go like this, like this, like this. She cannot wander in whatever way she likes now. She has to follow certain rules and regulations in life, rigid lines, principles, ethics, whatever there, she has to follow, she has to accept them and move. Her spirit's bounds, they cast in rigid line. A royalty without freedom was her lot. Yes, she is a princess, she is a queen, but she has no freedom now. See, in fact, this is what happens. A monarch, he is bound by the protocol. He has to follow certain things in a certain manner. He cannot do in whatever way he wants to do. There is a meeting, he has to go in a proper dress there, follow the protocol. He cannot just wear any shirt and any cloth like that and go there. He has to follow and adopt it. So that freedom is gone, you see. That freedom was her lot. The sovereign throne obeyed her ministers. Her fancy, her will, she could not exercise. Her ministers, her senses, her controlling agents, arguments, life principles, they become her ministers. Her servants' mind and sense govern her house. Now, royalty without freedom was a lot. The sovereign throne obeyed her ministers. Who are these ministers? Who are her servants? Mind and sense. Mind and sense are her servants, her ministers, and she has to obey them now, govern her house, although she is a queen. So whatever the butler says, whatever the officer in charge is of the house, she has to follow that thing, must adopt the protocol, and guarded with a phalanx of armored rules, the reasons balanced the reign, kept order and peace. Now, this is what we have got here, no? She has entered into order space. Who is governing this order? This is what we are here. The order is governed by mind and sense. She has entered into order space, but she has to follow what the mind says, what the senses say. She has to obey them, you see. The reasons balanced and kept order and peace. Well, as long as that balance is maintained, there is peace, you see. Now, there is a problem here in these two sentences. Problem of a different kind. See, if you look at these two sentences, we have understood what the drift of the passage is, that life is governed by mind and sense. That is the whole thrust of the passage. But the question is, in this line, if you read this line alone, Then, to whom does they refer to? They refers to what? They refers to what, you see? If you see it, I mean, if you read the whole passage, in the previous sentence, there is no indication that this ray is going to refer something to something here around, you see. See, we cannot pinpoint anything in this previous sentence, 19.1193, for that they. Her spirit is bound, they cast in rigid line. They means who? They remain undefined if you read this line alone. But that becomes clear if you start reading along with this line, this also. In other words, they is made clear by the next sentence. Yes, these they are mind and sense. This is a little unusual. Normally, in the development of any essay or poetic argument, you don't put the pronoun before the description. The description will precede the pronoun normally, you see. So, in that sense, it is a little unusual. So, you have to understand this they in terms of the next sentence. Well, that is how we have the original text. But in the revised edition of Savitri, there is something different. Yeah. In the revised edition, the sequence of lines is different. This is sequence of lines. Yeah, let's read that first. See, now this line in her spirits, etc., no, has come here, her spirits bounds here. It has become the fourth line. This means this line has been shifted to this place before this line. No, in the revised edition I am talking. See, the lines are the same, but the arrangement of lines is different in the 1993 edition of Savitri. And what we have here is the original edition. What I am giving you here, that particular passage, is in the revised edition.
And where is that line?
Her spirits, her spirits bound, cast in rigid lines. You see, this line which was first here in the, you see, the line has been shifted to the next sentence and it has become the fourth line there. We'll see that, sir. Let me first explain. Let me first. Now, I'm giving you the facts first. So, you see, the rest is the same thing. Royalty, sovereign, servants, these three lines are there in the same order. Then this line, which was earlier, has been shifted here. And then again, guarding and reasons as they are. The sequence of lines is maintained, except that this line has been shifted to this place, to the fourth place in the next sentence. So now it's not only that the line has been shifted, but if you see the punctuations, they have also undergone considerable change. That semicolon has remained as it is, colon has remained as it is, then that house, there was nothing here, house has again a colon here, rules as it is, peace as it is. So, punctuation also has been altered. 2 points. The third point is, I am talking about the differences. And guarded with the phalanx of armored rules, and guarded. This phrase in the revised edition is and guarding. So the punctuation has changed, the phrase has become different, the line has been shifted. So this line, which was there as an independent sentence prior to this beginning, has now become a part of this sentence. Now, of course, in the new version, a royalty without freedom was her lot. The sovereign throne obeyed her ministers. No problem about that. The sovereign throne obeyed her ministers. Her servants' mind and sense governed her house. Her spirit's bounds they cast in rigid line. Now here they acquires immediate sense because of mind and sense coming prior to it. Here it's very clear now, and this is separating the by the colon. This line is separate. So therefore, this day gets specified, becomes clear in the revised edition that yes, it is referring to mind and spirits.
So why you didn't do it like this? I didn't
Well, I
understand.
mean, if you see grammatically is what it means. See, otherwise you have to see that the day is going to be explained later on.
So it's not true. You are going to show us this it's not true.
No, I'm just telling you that in this passage they become now very clear because it is preceded by mind and sense. In- yeah, well, this is what we are discussing. And her spirits bound, they cast in rigid lines and guarded with the phalanx. Now here we have here and guarded. Here we have and guarding. See, they cast in rigid lines and guarding with the phalanx of armored line, the reasons balance reign. In other words, this sentence now gets linked up with the other one. Grammatically, say rigid line and guarding with the phalanx of armored rules, the reasons balance reigned. In other words, it is the balance, reasons balance which is guarding and reigning. It is reasons balance, reigning, and also keeping order and peace. Now, well, this is the factual difference between the two texts, what we have in 1950 here and what is there in the revised edition. Now, what we are told about this revision is as follows. And guarded, this one, has become and guarding. Now the question is, the explanation is, this whole passage is a dictated passage. It is not in Shivandu's handwriting. So first thing is, it is a dictated passage. And the dictation had and guarding. The dictation had and guarding. And guarding. But this and guarding was altered. See, when this and guarding was altered when the typescript was read out to Shebindu. It was typed and guarding. When the script was read out to Shebindu, then he changed and guarding to they guarded.
They got
Huh.
and guarded. He changed it.
He changed, he redictated, they guarded.
They.
Huh?
They.
They
Then-
guarded, yeah.
They.
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 No,
not
T-H-E-Y, they.
They.
Then they was altered to and.
To and.
They
So
guarded
3 times.
and guarded.
They was altered to and. So the final dictation is and guarded.
But he could only hear, he could not see, is it?
Yeah, he did not see it. Of course, he heard only all that thing. Now, see, I can understand why they guarded this and was changed to they. Sorry, there was they were dictated there. And guarding, they guarded. Now, what would happen is they would get repeated immediately. You see, now consider this line coming here. So this they here and this they here will get repeated immediately. This they and they here, that is very bad English also, you see. So therefore he redictated for that they and. See, if this line is shifted to the fourth line in the next sentence, then this they and this they here will be very inelegant. You see, it's not.
Why did they misregard it regarding
Well, I'm telling you. So therefore, they altered to and no other information. Beyond that, no other details are available to us. You see. So the original text, as we have here in the 1950 edition, 51 is like this, and then I showed you just now what is there in the revised edition. See, and guarding, you see, they guarding and they here, you can imagine how clumsy it will be. Her spirit is bound, they cast in rigid line, and they guarding with, you see, it's not proper English at all, you see. So that they here was changed to and. So that is the story behind the. See, the only justification, if at all, you want to give to the revised edition, the text of the revised edition, is that in this line, they remains unspecified. They remain unspecified. That becomes clear when you do all these changes. But my argument is that it's not really a fault at all. He is postponing the description of what these they are. What these they are, he is postponing to the next sentence. Yes, I'm going to explain to you. Just be a little patient. Here it is. These they are mind and sense. And then the whole thing follows very clearly, beautifully, you see. No, you don't have to change punctuation, nothing then, you see. So these are some of the difficulties of the revised edition of Savitri, you see. Yeah, her will lived closed in adamant walls of law. Well, poor lady now, she has to obey law, adamant, fixed. You can't change it, rigid. You see. Her fancy, whatever she wanted to do, she could do until now. But now that gone, that freedom gone completely. She is in the ordered space. Coerced was her force by chains that feigned to adorn. So, as if you are putting them like ornaments, those chains, as if they were adorning life. Coerced was her force by chains that feigned to adorn. Imagination was prisoned in a fort. So she is now trapped in the castle. You see, she can't move at all, you see. Her wanton and licentious favorite. Reality is poise and reason symmetry. So reason will always say everything is systematic, geometrical, beautiful, organized, you see, symmetry. Was set in its place, sentinel by martial facts. Yes, like this, like this, like this, because of this, because of this, because of this. You see. They gave to the soul a throne, a bench of law. So he is now giving different metaphorical descriptions, you see, bench of law. So for kingdom, a small world of rule and line. The age's wisdom, shriveled to scoliast lines, sprang pattern into a copybook device, scoliast lines. So the true, genuine, intuitive freedom, life instinct which is there, has its own wisdom. Life instinct has its own wisdom. But now it has to be checked against the laws of ethics, laws of morality, laws of governance, and things like that. Shriveled to a scholiast scholar who interprets the scriptures, So, if the scholar is interpreting the scripture in a certain way, you have to follow that. You have to follow that, you see. That is the creed. And you go by that. Sharia says like that, Manusmriti says like that, you have to go by that. You see, theology says like that. There is no, you can't challenge anything at all. Scoliast line, sprang patterned into a copybook device. The Spirit's almighty freedom was not here. A schoolman mind, so schoolman mind, you see, compared to the scoliast mind, you see, schoolman mind, small mind, calculating mind, limited mind, no width, no intuition, no vision, had captured life's large space, but chose to live in bare and paltry ruin, parked off from the too vast, dangerous universe, fearing to lose its soul in the infinite. So it is afraid of plunging into the infinite. It is shriveled, it shrink back, it loves its limits. So here you have got now the copybook, you have got here ideas, ample sweep was cut. You may have many ideas for doing this thing, that thing. No, like this, you have to follow like this, like this, like this. Even the ideas, ample space was cut into a system, chained to fixed pillars of thought. You have to follow like this, you have to go like this, you have to follow like this. So he has used this word chain already 2 times. This is the third time he is using the same word chain. Or riveted to matter solid ground, or else the soul was lost in its own hides. In other words, yes, soul can be free and live in its hide, but then all which is there below is lost, is of no avail. Means there is a kind of a division between the soul and what life is here is. Or, or else the soul was lost in own hide, obeying the ideal's high-browed law, thought based a throne on unsubstantial air, disdaining earth's flat triviality. It barred reality out to live in dreams. Well, I mean, these are the different kind of limitations which I come now on the freedom of life. You have to go by fixed ideas, fixed rules, fixed ethics, morality, social customs, credos. You have to go on following those things. Or all stepped into a systemed universe. Life's empire was a managed continent. This is a line by itself, like an aphorism. Life's empire was a managed continent. You see, small thing. Managed by whom? He has already told. Mind and sense. Managed by mind and sense. His thoughts an army, ranked and disciplined. Uniform, they kept their logic or their fixed flame at the bidding of the trained centurion mind. Trained centurion mind. Centurion is a military term. Centurion means one who has under his control a century of cavalry or people like that. In fact, let me give the exact definition. Yeah. In the Roman army, commander of a century by 100 soldiers. In the Roman army, commander of a century, of a group of 100. A centurion received higher pay than a legionnaire. Legion is there, 100 legions will make a century. Naturally, centurion will be more paid than the legionnaire. In the Second World War, a tank of 100 tanks, they would constitute a centurion. Somebody has a control, under his control, 100 tanks, another 100 tanks, another. So each is a centurion there, you see. Commander of 100 tanks. So see, Shivandu brings all those historical references in the grand epic, you see, everywhere. It's not only poetry, it's not only history, it's not only theology, all those things are there because his reading is also very vast. His thoughts and army, you see the whole consistency there, managed continent, army, logic, fixed place, yes, they had to stand in an order, you see, you can't change the order. At the bidding of the trained centurion mind, or each stepped into his station like a star. You have to be here. The star cannot go and wander anywhere in the sky. You must be fixed here. You are here. Your position is here, like a star. Or master of fixed and constellated heavens, or kept in feudal rank among his peers. So you have to follow the protocol. Who should sit where? There is an order. You can't just go and sit anywhere you like, you see. In the sky's unchanging cosmic hierarchy. So, in fact, that is how the astronomical universe is governed. They're all in their position. You see, they can't take liberties. They have to be there. If they take liberties, they are gone. You see, they'll get swallowed up in the cosmic space. Now here we have got a very beautiful description. So how life is governed by rules and regulations, chain, order, etc., etc. He is describing in a very great epic manner. It's a long description like that. And here we have got another beautiful description of a Victorian era, or like a hybrid maiden with chaste eyes. So when a noble lady walks in public places, she will see with chaste eyes, stylishly, in a given manner. She cannot look in any way at all. She has no freedom at all. She must do this thing in this way, in this way, in this way, see. Or like a hybrid maiden with chaste eyes, chaste style, you say chaste style, means You have to write English, you must write in a certain manner only. You can't take liberty like that. That is a chaste style, chaste eyes. Forbidden to walk unveiled the public ways. So she's not really wearing burqa, veil. But when she is going to walk in the public places, she must go in a certain manner. She can't take liberties at all in public places. She can't just go to the market and do whatever she wants, you see. She must in closed, secluded chambers move. Her feeling in cloisters live her gardened paths. Yes, this is the path in the garden. You have to follow that. You have to go. You just can't go in a jungle and walk the way you want to walk it like that. That is exactly what we had in that movie, Roman Holiday. You see, yes, you remember Roman Holiday? You seen Roman Holiday? It's a very beautiful movie. You see, yeah, one princess. Um, she gets tired of the protocol in life and all that thing, and then one day she runs away, goes to Rome, and has a nice holiday there for 1 week or whatever it is you see, driving scooter, moving around here, no signal, nothing, just go on. See. It's a very beautiful movie, Roman Holiday. So it is that kind of free life which was there that is missed when you are in the cloistered surroundings. She was tired of it. Psychologically, she was sick of it. And therefore, she wanted to break off from that, you see. Very nice movie, Roman Holiday, you see. Now, hybrid maiden, it means one who is bred in high life, in high society. You have to follow certain etiquettes, aristocratic manners and all that. Of pure blood, one who is of pure blood. Princess, she has to be like a princess. Having refined manners, Victorian etiquettes, proper deportment, how to talk to somebody, a stranger, friend, acquaintance. You can't just go and talk anything you like, you see. Living social decorums to be followed completely. The most, the most refined society. Now, these royal children, boys and girls, they were brought up in a certain manner. They had to follow certain rules and regulations, principles. They cannot be like people in the street, you see, like that. They had to follow certain ways, you see. So some of the specifications for bringing up a royal maiden girl, she had to learn mathematics. She had to learn English properly. She must pronounce the words in a specific manner. English, English, King's English, Queen's English. You can't pronounce this way around, you see. See. So that is the hybrid maiden. So life is now principled. You must follow like this, go like this, do this, do this, do this. You can't, you see. Now there is actually reference, Shebandu's references to English poetry are very rich in Savitri. This is a poem by Shelley, Ode to a Skylark. You can read, you can see? Yeah. Hail to thee, blithe spirit. He called the skylark the blithe spirit. Bird, thou never wert. You are really never a word. That from heaven or near it pourest thy full heart in profuse trains of unpremeditated art. Without thinking, without meditation, you pour out spontaneously. That is your character. Blithe spirit, that is what makes you blithe spirit. Higher still and higher, from the earth thou springest, this skylark. Like a cloud of fire, the blue deep thou wingest, the blue deep the sky thou wingest. And singing still dost thou soar. While you are soaring up, you are still singing also. Lark. Soaring, never singing. In the golden lightning of the sunken sun in the evening, sunken sun, over which clouds are brightening, thou dost float and run. like an unbodied joy whose race is just begun. So she is really a bird now living in a new race. The poet is already saying that in this free spirit, that blind spirit, a new race is really beginning here. The pale purple even melts around dive light. So while she is flying, the skylark, the whole evening itself melts in that. Like a star of heaven in the broad daylight. So the way the star disappears in the daylight, in the way saying that, thou art unseen, but yet I hear thy shrill delight. Keen as are the arrows or the silver spear, whose intense lamp narrows in the white dawn clear, until we hardly see, we feel that is there. All the earth and air, where the voice is loud, that bird is singing, and the whole earth and heaven, as when night is bare from one lonely cloud, the moon rains out her beam, and heaven is overflowed, joy there everywhere. What thou art, we know not. Who is this thy spirit? Who is this skylark? I don't know, but this is what I see. What is most like thee? From rainbow clouds there flow not drops so bright to see. From the rainbow cloud the drops are falling, but they are not as bright as this one. As from thy presence showers a rain of melody. See, like a poet hidden in the light of thought. So the poet is hidden in the light of his thought, singing hymns unbidden, till the world is wrought to sympathy with hopes and fears it heeded not. So that is the task of the poet. You see. And then this refrain, like a high-born maiden, where I got here hybrid maiden. Shivandu says, this high-born maiden of Shelley has become hybrid maiden in Savitri. You see. Like a high-born maiden in a palace tower, soothing her love-laden soul in secret hour, with music sweet as love, which o'erflows her power. So there is a definite echo of this stanza here in this line of Savitri, you see, high brown maiden, see. That echo is there. Like a glowworm golden in a dell of dew, scattering unbeholden its aerial hue among the flowers and grass which screen it from the view. Like a rose embowered. So he's giving a number of similes, like a poet, like a highborn maiden, like a glowworm, like a rose. You see, he's giving all the examples. Like a rose embowered in its own green leaves by warm winds deflowered, till the scent it gives makes faint with too much speed these heavy winged thieves. Sound of vernal showers on the twinkling grass, rain awakened flowers, all that ever were, joyous and clear and fresh, thy music doth surpass. Teach us, sprite or bird. Now he's asking that bird, skylark, teach us, O bird, what sweet thoughts are thine? I have never heard praise of love or wine that painted forth a flood of rapture so divine. I never heard such a rapturous divinity. Chorus hymeneal or triumphal chant matched with thine would be all but an empty want, a thing wherein we feel there is some hidden want. What objects are the fountains of thy happy strain? What fields or waves or mountains? What shapes of sky or plain? What love of thine own kind? What ignorance of pain? With thy clear, keen joyance, languor cannot be, shadow of annoyance never came near thee. You are never annoyed with anything at all. Thou lovest, but never knew love's sad society. Waking or asleep, thou of death must deem things more true and deep than we mortals dream, or how could thy nose flow in crystal stream? So he is telling that this bird really knows what death means, and let us know that thing. We look before and after and pine for what is not. We want something, we lack something, we pine for that. Or sincerest laughter with some pain is brought. So we laugh, we smile with each other, friends, greet also, but there is something painful also in that. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. That is our pity. Yes, we sing. In fact, our songs become sweet the more the sad things it contains. Yet, if we could scorn hate and pride and fear, if we were things born not to shed a tear, I know not thy joy we ever should come near. Better than all measures of delightful sound, better than all treasures that in books are found, thy skill to poet were, thou scholar of the ground, thou scholar of the ground. You don't like the lowly things, you are always moving in the upper skies. Teach me how the gladness that thy brain must know, such harmonious madness from thy lips would flow. The world should listen then as I am listening now. If you teach me, then see that is the thing he is invoking from the skylark. Teach me how the gladness that thy brain must know. Now, that thy, of course, stands for that blithe spirit, that happy spirit. It's not the bird skylark, but the happy spirit bird in the shape of the skylark, or the spirit who has taken the shape of a bird, the soul. That thy brain must know such harmonious madness from my lips would flow. The world should listen then as I am listening now. So this is the high brown maiden, you see, like a high born maiden in a palace tower. So that is exactly the description I got here. So the echo is perfect here when he is describing life change here. Life is not now here at this point in that blithe spirit. In fact, what we are here is, as he says here, the poignancy is in this line. The poignancy of the whole ode is in this line. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. That is the poignancy of our life, you see. Now, in another poem, Shelley speaks of, I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. Same thing, you see. I bleed, I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. Shivantu was very fond of Shelley, Keats, the romantic poets, you see. And these echoes are there in several places in Savitri like that, you see. This particular one. Now, in one of his letters, Shivantu speaks of Shelley, that he was not an evolutionary being. He was an involutionary being. some being, some god, angel, creature, whatever being, who had taken birth here for a certain experience, a certain, for giving something to man, something to man. Shelley was not an evolutionary being to mankind. To give something of joy, happiness, see, by expression like that. He had taken that mortal birth. He is not like us, evolving. You see, he was not an evolutionary being, but involutionary. See, for instance, the mother says, no, the Vedic rishis were involutionary beings. They were involutionary beings, you see. So therefore, they had direct contact. Yes, yes. They had direct contact with the world of truth and joy and happiness. World of truth. So that is what you see here in Shelley. I fall upon the thorns of life. We had fallen, the illusory being, upon the thorns of life here, and therefore is bleeding. See, therefore is bleeding, you see. Our sweetest songs are of saddest thoughts, you see. This is what life has become here. She wanted to be very licentious, free, movement, joyous, happy, do whatever you like, but now constraints are there. Do this, go like this, etc. See? Or like a high-born, hybrid maiden with chaste eyes, forbidden. Now this is a difference. See, here it says hybrid maiden with chaste eyes. See, there is a difference in this phrase and Shelley's high-born maiden in a palace tower. See, you can say like a high-born maiden and like a hybrid maiden with chaste eyes. The difference here is, you see, this line here, or like a hybrid maiden with chaste eyes, is not a lyrical line, but an epic line. The language, the style is an epic style here. Whereas here, like a high-born maiden in a Paris tower, see the rhythm is different. It's lyrical. Lyrical. So he is not just adapting it, he has reshaped it as an epic expression. Chaste eyes gives you a different feel for the whole thing, you see. There is no chaste eyes here in Shelley, you see. So the romantic, lyrical of Shelley has become epic in Shrivendra Savitri. Or like a high-bred maiden with chaste eyes, forbidden to walk unveiled the public ways. She must in close secluded chambers move, her feeling in cloisters live or garden path. Life was consigned to a safe level path. It dare not tempt the great and difficult heights, or climb to be never to a lonely star, or skirt the danger of the precipice, or tempt the foam-curled breaker's perilous laugh. Foam-curled breaker's perilous laugh. She is giving now different descriptions, different similes, different metaphors. Breaker, the waves are dashing against the breaker is the wave which is going to dash against the shore. So they will laugh with the foam. You see. Tame the foam curled breakers, perilous laugh, adventurous lyrist, dangerous amateur, or into a chamber call some flaming god. Poor lady, she cannot call now the flaming god, you see. Or leave the world's bound, and where no limits are, meet with the heart's passion, the adorable. She has a lover, but she cannot just go like that now, you see. Or set the world ablaze with the inner fire. Well, that is what free life could do. But now she's chained by mind and sense. She could set the world ablaze with the inner fire. That is now restricted, restrained. A chastened epithet in the prose of life. What we had chaste eyes has now become here chastened epithet in prose. You see, you have got a specific kind of a style, purity of style, purity of style. She must fill with color just her sanctioned space. Yes, this is your place. And put this color here, this here, here. You see, you can't take liberties. Mark knows it. In painting, you can't put any color anywhere you like. He's not listening. She must fill with color just a sanctioned space, not break out of the cabin of the idiom, not trespass into rhythms too high or far. Even when it soared into ideal air, thought's flight lost not itself in heaven's blue. It drew upon the skies a patterned flower of disciplined beauty and harmonic light. A temperate, vigilant spirit governed life. Well, the description continues with another description. Its acts were tools of the considering thought, too cold to take fire and set the world ablaze. Yeah, mind cannot do that. Mind is an abstract entity. It can analyze, it can detect, but it cannot really put your life, breathe breath to it. Too cold to take fire and set the world ablaze, or the careful, reasoned, diplomatic move, testing the means to prefigured end. Or so he's now describing the way in which a philosopher, in which a critic, in which a literary man will work in this life here. Too cold to fire, set the world ablaze, or careful reasons, diplomat. So reason has to be very careful, diplomatic, testing the means to a prefigured end, or at the highest pitch, some calm wills a plan, or a strategy of some high command within to conquer the secret treasures of the gods, or win for a masked king some glorious world, not a reflex of the spontaneous self. So there is no spontaneity at all in our actions. You are governed by thought and ideas and by principles. An index of the being and its moods, a winging of conscious spirit, a sacrament of life's communion with the still supreme, or its pure movement on the eternal. See, just count how many hours he has put, you see, for life, so many possibilities, but they are all governed. One hour, careful reason, another hour, highest pitch, third hour, strategy, fourth hour, to win, fifth hour, life's pure movement, sixth hour, or else the body of some high idea. A house was built with two close fitting bricks. Action and thought cemented made a wall of small ideals limiting the soul. Now, this is what a philosopher, a scientist, a thinker will do. Plato had no place for poetry in his republic for the poets because poet becomes emotional. Emotional. And according to Plato, emotion will damage pure reason. You see, will cause harm to pure reason. He is the man of pure reason, ideal, absolute. So therefore, poet cannot stay in Plato's republic. This is what we have got here now. The philosopher, Kant, Heuristic, Hegel, Berkeley, they will go by the purity of thought, of idea. Even, so this is what the philosophers are, the scientists are. But what about the spiritual people? Even meditation, muse on a narrow seat. So you sit on a small little bench and meditate. See? and worship turned to an exclusive God, my Shankara, my Krishna, my Rama, you see, exclusive God, to the universal inseparable praise, whose doors are shut against the universe, or naked, the bodiless, impersonal, a mind shut to the cry and fire of love. That is not there. Mind does not understand that thing. A rational religion dried the heart. So, the theology is a part of that rationalization. You see. It planned a smooth life's acts with ethics rule, or offered a cold and flameless sacrifice. So you are doing yajna, but there's no flame there. You're offering still. See. The sacred book lay on the sanctified desk. So in the church, the book is there, Bible is there, Quran is there, Gita is there, whatever you want to call it, and you read mechanically without really getting into the spirit of the script. The sacred book lay on a sanctified desk, wrapped in interpretations, silken strings. So all the theologians are busy with that. You have to do like this, you have to do like that. Manusmriti, you have to follow like that. A credo sealed up its spiritual sense. So you have to go by faith, but faith bound by rules and regulations. And therefore the spiritual sense is lost. That is what has happened in the case of the Vedic knowledge. It became a ritualistic knowledge, you see. So this is the way the life is dwelling in ordered space, governed by rules and regulations, by sense and mind and ethics and rules and theologies. You can't take liberties with the priest, with the father, with the Brahmin, with the Maulavi, whom you want to call it. You have to go by that, see, creeds. Now, there is another funny thing here in the next section, 120, third section of Savitri. Here was a quiet country of fixed mind. Now, from ordered space in which life dwelt, Savitri is moving into the country of fixed mind. See, Savitri was seeing several things, ideas, dreams, strange goddesses, wind-haired gods, moon-hued visions, sun-dream head, star-carved limbs, emotions. Now she is going into another world. After life in outer space, we have got the country of mind. Then from country of mind, Savitri will enter into the silent self. It is the inner hierarchy. What Ashwapati was climbing was the spiritual hierarchy, plane after above plane. Here Savitri is entering in the inner hierarchy, this silent self, and then she will meet the occult gods in the inner countries. So now we are in the country of mind, fixed mind. Here was a quiet country of fixed mind. Here life no more was all nor passion's voice. Because it's mind now. A cry of sense has sunk into a hush. So, what was emotional, what was cry, passionate, that has now become quiet, into a hush. Now, there is a big history around this a cry. A cry of sense has sunk into a hush. This a cry has become the cry in the revised edition. The a cry has become the cry in the revised edition. And The argument which is given for this A changing to the is to be traced back to line 11629. 11629 in the previous canto. The line here is impassive mid the movement and the cry. Witness of the thoughts of mind, the moods of life, she looked into herself and sought for her soul. That she stands for, of course, Savitri. Savitri is looking into herself and seeking her soul. How? Impassive with the movement and the cry. Witness to the thoughts of mind. She's simply watching thoughts and the moods of life. She's simply watching and she's looking for her soul. Now, Richard says that this cry refers to the cry in 11629, impassive and movement of and the cry. Therefore, this A should be changed to the. This cry refers to the cry which occurs much earlier, you see. So Shebnu remembers that, oh, he has used that cry somewhere, but the context is different. Here the context is also different. There the context is of Savitri's condition. She is impassive, she is watching thoughts, feelings and all that thing. They cry, all that thing. But the argument is put forward by saying that this cry in the present context refers to the previous cry. Now, between this cry in 120.1 and the cry in 11629, this cry here refers to a cry which appears 173 sentences earlier, 173, or 722 lines earlier. This cry. So Shebnu was a real great yogi that he could remember and connect all those things, you see. But there is another funny thing also. See, we are talking of a cry of sense, and we are seeing the other cry here, movement and a cry. There are in between 173 sentences or 722 lines. But the interesting thing that there is one more cry appearing between these two, between this cry and the cry which so no, not that cry, but this cry. See, that cry appears in 11714. 11714. A haste of movement and a ceaseless cry. So it is not this ceaseless cry to which it is referred. A ceaseless cry is not that, but the one which is there in 11629, the cry. So that is a remarkable research, you see. Mighty, absolutely. Now, about changing a cry to the cry, Richard gives one example, 95.29. Open to a breath is the new diviner air. Got it? Open to a breath is the new diviner air. Now, it is impossible for us to see why reference is made to this line. But people who have the manuscripts in their possession, who have studied the manuscripts really very carefully, it is a really good kind of a research mind to connect all these things, you see. What is there in the original manuscript is slightly different. In the original manuscript, open to the breath is a new diviner air. Means the articles are interchanged. In the earlier case, in Shebnu's handwriting, Earlier, the line was open to the breath is a new diviner air. The articles were different. But then, while revising it, he himself changed the first the to a and the to a. He himself changed the article. So the argument is, if Shevindu has made the change in the article there, A has become the has become A, why can't we do here?
No, I don't see why.
Pardon?
No, I don't see the reason. If you change it there,
But that is the argument given. Shevindu has made that change, so let us do here also, because this cry is referring to a cry which appears 720 times earlier.
maybe it's not the same cry.
So the justification is given in terms of Shevindu has changed it, therefore I think he has made a mistake here, let us change this into the. A cry of sense, therefore A, we are entitled to change to make it the. Because Shevindu himself has changed the articles in some other line. You see, it is impossible for us to really pick up this line on the basis of the printed text. But because the manuscripts are in their hand, they can put. This was debated very hotly in our meetings when all the entries were being checked and all that. And all these arguments were given by Richard. I have recorded them in my diary, so they are there intact. Therefore, I am able to tell you all these things, all these details. We, of course, objected that this should not be changed to the. And Nero agreed with me, you should not change. But then, at the insistence of Richard, with all these arguments which he had put forward, Amal saw his point. Yes, perhaps this cry refers to that earlier cry which occurred 722 lines earlier. You see. And Amal and Richard went for the cry. Now, in the meeting, we discussed very hotly this thing. Nirod said that the cry, see now read this line, here life no more was all for, here life no more was all, not passion's voice. A cry of sense sunk into a hush. Now, if you read this one, here life no more was all, not passion's voice. The cry of sense has sunk into a hush. If you read like that, how does it sound? Very harsh. The cry here sounds very harsh. The softness is gone there. So Nero said, the cry sounds too loud. Sounds too loud. Of course, I also said that it is too harsh. The quiet flow of the line is gone. A cry, your sense has sunk into a hush. You know, the way in which the line moves, that quiet flow has disappeared totally. The quiet flow of the line is gone. Richard retorted, ridiculous. Ridiculous. The answer was ridiculous, of course, maybe. But what is ridiculous? What I am saying is ridiculous, or what you are saying is ridiculous? Your logic and your sensitivity. My retort was back to him, ridiculous, your logic and your sensitivity. That is ridiculous. You can't connect this thing with that like that, you see. So that was the story behind this a cry and the cry. But the cry has persisted in the revised edition. The cry is there in the revised edition. So when we are discussing this thing, the meeting, well, they were the bosses, so they had to decide. All that we could do was make our point. You see.
But were you sure that Shobindo put a cry?
Yes, a cry is there.
No,
There is
asking,
absolutely no recorded evidence for the cry anywhere.
no, I'm not asking for the meaning. I'm asking only if all of you were sure that Sri Aurobindo put a cry, not the cry.
No, it is not there at all. The cry is not there at all.
Sri Aurobindo, he put a cry, no?
A cry.
So why do you want to discuss this?
Because he was
I don't
forgotten.
understand.
See, he was there. I will tell you. There is a more story also that I will tell you. Shiva has forgotten that he is referring to the cry which appeared. Shiva. I give you other example now how the articles were changed by Shevendu, A and the in the other line. Yeah. Well, I not completed my story. Let me continue also. So here the cry is now what is sanctified in the revised edition. You see. It is really hard. The cry of sense has sunk into us is terrible, you see. It sounds terrible, you see, also. Now, the question is, well, next day morning, this was in the meeting, when we were meeting, myself, Amal, Richard, and, we were meeting regularly for this thing. This was in the meeting. Next day morning, when I went to Niro's room, you see, I used to go to his place for breakfast in the morning, 7 o'clock. So, during the breakfast, this topic of yesterday's meeting came up, a cry, the cry. Nero told me next day morning in the breakfast meeting, of course a private meeting, we have, let me read. We have been tampering with the sense. We have been tampering with the sense. While editing like this, we have been tampering with the sense. This has no textual basis, no textual support. For A to the. We have been tampering, that is what he said. But then I asked him, look, if you feel so, then why did you yield to the cry? You should have stuck on to a cry. He told in a very gentlemanly manner, look, at the most I can make my point. I can say what I had to say. I can't force or impose my view on others. That is fair enough. But I said, we are tampering with the sense of Savitri. What about that? You agree with that? Do you yield to that? I am helpless, he said. I am helpless. So, stops with that. Stops with that. I am helpless. Now, see, in the text, you are saying that it is starting with a square bracket. And there are 12 lines ending up to this point. These 6 sentences of this section. There is a little history about these 6 sentences. Now, this 2, if you read at the end, you have got an alternative passage or 12 lines there. And the story is like this. This particular passage which we have got here was on a piece of paper which was misplaced while revising this particular part with Shebindu. It was not available. So Shebindu found something lacking and he dictated a fresh passage which is at the end of this book, that alternative passage. This piece of paper was misplaced, was not there while it was being read out to Shebindu. So he redictated a fresh passage. And in the fresh passage, There is no question of a cry or the cry. There is no question of cry. There is no, it doesn't appear at all in the dictated passage there.
I didn't understand. What is this another version?
Pardon?
What is this note? It's not the same
No,
paragraph
it's
at
not.
all.
It is a new passage he had dictated. Those 12 lines which are there at the end were dictated by Shebendu later on. Because this particular passage was not there when the section was being read out to him. Yeah. So this passage was misplaced by the scribe, by Nurulbaran. And hence the poet dictated these 12 lines in the text. Shivandu dictated these 12 lines, you see. And he does not remember those 12 lines which he had dictated earlier, but he remembers a cry which appears 722 lines earlier. This passage was missed by the scribe, and hence the poet dictated these 12 lines in the text. Later on, after the 1951 edition, when this was printed, this was discovered. These 12 lines, which was not there, that passage, that piece of paper was discovered in the pile of Shebendu's papers. This passage was discovered and has been kept as a footnote. This misplaced passage has again disappeared. It is not there at all now, you see. Has again disappeared. So this is the story behind that. So you can't really say what is what, you see. But the point is, Shebendu dictated a passage and it got misplaced, found it afterwards, but that passage which was found afterwards was typed by Nalini. See, that piece of paper was found in between, so it went to Nalini. Here the typist, he had typed it again and was put as the footnote. You see. But after typing, again that piece of paper has disappeared. So what we have now is only the record in the typescript. The original paper is not there at all anywhere. Only the typescript, what he has typed. So that is a beautiful story about this cry. A cry of pardon?
Did you write all this story in your Savitri book where you
No,
explained
this is yet to come in my
You have to write it.
in my documents, yeah.
Oh, it should be.
Yes, of course, yeah.
How the people must know.
I had to put down all those things. But that is why I am speaking out here. At least to some extent it is there on record. So the question of that passage now is gone. So you can, whatever is in the TypeScript, that is all you can say. Maybe found, I don't know. But now, we don't know. But I don't think now, gone. Because these people are quite meticulous. They would have searched each and every piece of paper and all that thing. That way Richard must be given the due credit for that, you see. Yeah. It's not there at all, that passage. But luckily it is present in the TypeScript. That's all. Beyond that, no. So here was a quiet country. So it's not really a quiet country, it's a very noisy country. Very quarrelsome country also, you see. Disputable, you see. A cry of sunset sunk into a